Hello, everyone. I am Simone Deloach.
And I am Dennis Tardan, and welcome to the Sixth Box.
That's right. I am a young Black female.
And I'm an old white man. And we're going to be using those 6 boxes, the cultural constructs, in order to have meaningful conversations.
That's right. That's right.
And this is our 4th show, and I so appreciate we had a mid-show conversation because I and you and Melissa and Manny and your father talked about how I had because of my background as an interviewer and my background, I tend to default to that. And I also tend to hijack the conversation. So over the past 3 shows, I have kept moving the conversation back to race. You had started off the last time saying that this was Women's History Month and we needed to be discussing that. And I kept bringing it back to race. And I wanted to, and I got to thinking about, why do I do that? And one of the things is that I'm very, very sensitive about race. And you pointed out something very interesting to me, is because in my mind, when you're with your friends, that is the main topic of your conversation. I'm just telling you because I'm not there, but I'm telling you, this is my default inside my old white male mind, is that this is what the primary thing that you're talking about. And you gave me some enlightenment there. So could you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So yeah, in that midweek conversation, I wanted clarification. Why is it that we continue to talk about race? And why is it more interviewee style? I felt that there hasn't been enough back and forth. You asked very good questions, and I would like to reiterate, well, how do you feel about that, right? Yes, my friends, we're not talking about our race. We're not talking about how our race affects us in this world. We're talking about our gender inequalities. We're talking about the spike of living right now in this area of Austin. We're talking about affordability. We're talking about our jobs, our relationships. And so we're not entering conversations thinking, okay, we have one Black girl, one Hispanic girl, one white girl, we've crossed the board. No, it's energy, it's personality, it's like-mindedness, it's challenging one another. It's vastly different with our ages as well. And so it was difficult when you asked me to ask my friends, what do they want to know from a white man? And a lot of them were like, we don't want anything from him. What can he bring to the table, right? As we move forward and progress. Why is it that you've found yourself focusing on those issues with race with me?
Well, because I'm overly sensitive. I'm overly sensitive to race. I see, I'm concerned. I have some white guilt about the way about how we as the white male patriarchy have treated, not just in history, but also all the way up to the current, of how we have treated, how Black people and people of color are treated differently than I am. And so I'm overly sensitive about that. So I try, I don't know how much of it is me trying to be, oh, isn't that wonderful? Look at Dennis, how evolved he is, and look at how he's willing to talk about race, and so I'm sure that because I have a very strong ego, and I'm certainly would like to portray myself as, oh, he's just so enlightened. So yes, so I know that there's a part of me that is part of that, but it's also ignorance, because again, you help me to understand, Dennis, when I'm picturing you with your friends or with your family, that this is, while that can be a part of the conversation, it can be, it's not everything that you talk about all the time and all that has to do in it, and that helped me, because it helped me to clear my mind and to be more and to be more understanding of you as a human being, rather than having to see you primarily
Mhm.
through the lens of your race.
Mhm. Guilt and ignorance. You use those two words. Before we dive into that, do you find yourself approaching your friend groups with the understanding that race will be a topic that you guys discuss? Because you saw that for me and my friends, is that something that you see and have happened for you?
No.
Okay. So are we thirsty to talk about race? Like, okay.
Yes. Yes, I am. I am. And if I think it's important, it's just I think it's an important topic on how we are manifesting ourselves, and how we are showing up. It's important to me, though, to be able to dig through my own prejudices and my own ignorance and my own assumptions, to be able to see that once those are scraped away, once my guilt is scraped away, once my ignorance is scraped away, then I can get an opportunity to be more authentic with
Hmm.
you. That's my chance. That's what I'm hoping for in this program, because I can deal with that. I can, if I talk about it, and I'm able to share about it, and I'm able to admit it, and to own my own ignorance, and own my prejudice, own my fears, my own, then suddenly I can begin to heal.
It sounds like a magic pill. It sounds like if I take this one thing, then the life that I wish for myself will emerge and come forth, versus a natural progression of decreasing the guilt as it grows and progresses into
Yes,
learning, decreasing your ignorance as it grows and progresses, without like forcing it to happen, without managing it in
exactly.
a way that you feel, okay, if I do this and this and this is how I get to the
Right.
overall outcome.
It's this program is my magic pill, because this program is forcing me to
Mhm.
look at myself in ways that I would not have been
Right.
doing, because it's real time. You're seeing me in real time. I'm attempting to be as transparent with you as I
Right.
possibly can be, and really to face my own the places that I am. And we're one of the things that I know, that being a white man who is an older white man who is a representative, I am a representative of the patriarchy that is currently in place. I think that's a reasonable stand that anybody would say, just merely by just taking the gender of the people who are in power and how that is. I mean, it is a patriarchy. It is within business and within government, and that we are under a patriarchal system. So I want to be able to say, okay, well, how do we negotiate through that? How do we get uh, how do we get past that? How do we get through that? And that's part of what I wanted to, had I not hijacked the conversation, I think we would have talked more about it last week. But now we're just beginning on March the 2nd today to talk about Women's History Month, and
Mhm.
how we are going to be able to have a more equitable society
Yes. Yes.
for absolutely selfish purposes on my part. I do not believe that 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 we can survive without having women step up and step into leadership. I don't believe that the species would survive. We just
Yeah.
don't. We don't. I don't believe that men have the degree of consciousness that we need in order for us, for the species actually to survive.
Mhm. That taps into what you were saying, a bit of guilt, but maybe even ego, and I keep forgetting the I word, excuse me, the not insecurities, uh,
Ignorance.
the ignorance. it's okay to be ignorant enough to know, okay, I don't know how to utilize this skill. It's not something I've been naturally gifted with, but my ego won't allow me to step down from this place because I belong here. This is mine. A little bit of what we talked about before, right? This is my pie. The system in which was built for the white man has inevitably failed men in general, but has continued to fail the white man. You're sitting here in front of me saying, I have this guilt feeling. And so therefore you behave according to your guilt. And on the spectrum, a lot of men either behave very aggressively or very passively, somewhere in between. And it only perpetuates the issue.
Yeah.
So the system that was built, the patriarchy, isn't helping anybody. Do you see that we could be in a world where that is dismantled, not at the expense of the white man, but for the white man, so that other people can come forth, do justice?
I'm not sure that I see that or I believe it anymore to be able to happen in my generation.
Okay.
I think that maybe when we get the people that are in their 30s and 40s in power,
Sure.
and we begin to get that, I think that's going to happen, but it'll be after I'm dead. So, however, the important thing is what can I do while I'm still alive? Because the thing is that because I could make a difference if I can help and be part of the raising of the consciousness of the human being, help us to free ourselves from the patriarchy, the patriarchy that says that the only way to succeed is to make sure that I can gather everything that I can have. I can take it all and put myself in gated communities and protect myself away from it because I'm a victim. It's going to be taken away from me. People are constantly, if it's another man or another woman, people of color, it doesn't matter. I have to protect. I have to gap my nest, and then I have to protect that. That's the patriarchy, because it's very hierarchical. It's very much of a pyramid, and so it gets less and less as we get to the top. And as I understand economics, and as I understand what we're doing in the world, is that we have to, the only way that we're going to survive, as long as we do that, we're going to continue to suck everything we can out of the planet. We're going to be able to just keep it's everything for me. It's me versus them. And that is not sustainable.
No.
It's not, and it's not something that we can do. And so that's what I want to do. I want to see what it is it that I can do to help to raise the consciousness of the men and the women that I'm around. And that's my job. That's my job, because if I can support that, then we can see something moving along. But if I can't, and that's where I'm hoping that women, that's one of the reasons why I'm promoting women. And you said last week, well, when will we know when that was happening? And I got to thinking, I said, okay, well, I'll tell you when I think I would know it was happening. When a woman would be able to behave like Elon Musk and still retain her power. When a woman could behave like Donald Trump and still retain her power. When women would have the same privilege to act in ways that were and still retain her power, because it absolutely, it boggles my mind. I try to substitute. I try to say, how, if a woman were acting that way, how would the media, how would everyone react? And it would just, I mean, they would just be bonkers. I mean, I see this with the vice president. She makes the tiniest little misstep and everybody just goes nuts and sits there and says, oh, well, we have, no slack cut at all.
Right.
So that's when I think I said, when we begin to see women in the media
Mhm.
that that you're able to behave in much more a much more broad spectrum rather than just this fine little line that you can only walk, and that's the only way you're going to do it if you're going to be able to be a success.
Wow. Hmm. Michelle Obama mentions that in both her memoir books, about more especially in the second one, about how she was very heavily scrutinized. Her whole entire family, both her and Barack, were scrutinized for appearance, for not even before she even opens her mouth. It was, how she presented herself. I understand what you're saying, and I also feel like that's vastly unfortunate. Because
Oh,
here's
me
the thing.
too.
Here's the thing. I don't believe women will behave themselves in that way. If they have power, they know how to behave with that power. So to say that, well, when women can berate people online and say racial slurs and get people riled up, at the expense of racism, then that's when she'll be able to have equality. And it's like, a woman wouldn't step into a room with that agenda in the first place.
No, and Representative Green, to the contrary, because we do have some members within Congress who are speaking in those ways. But I was being facetious when I said that, when I said that, and I wasn't being clear. No, I don't believe that women would do that. I don't believe that is the thing. I was trying to show just really how the society perceives women now, that they would not accept a woman saying those things and still maintaining her power and still maintaining her position as the head of a large company or the head of a political party. That it wouldn't happen. So I want to say, or I will say, is that women, we can have our opportunity now. This is an opportunity really to have some game changing leadership,
Mhm.
and we can and getting women into this, and it's going to require more and more. We've got to have those faces. We have to see the faces come up, and I, little by little, it appears to me to be happening. Does it feel like that to you?
Yes. It appears to be happening and has yet to slow down or stop at any point since I've been consciously aware of the women presence in politics and media and storytelling, and writing. It doesn't seem to be slowing down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. And so who were the women, when you look at the women you admire or that
Mhm.
you follow? What is the cohort of women that you look to and go, this is someone that I want to walk in her path, follow her, and why?
Wow. I wish I was better prepared, because there's a laundry list of women,
Exactly.
that I'm trying to, in my mind, I'm trying to sum it up. How would I summarize the women that I follow on purpose? How would I summarize um, their energy for me, their presence for me? Hmm. The first word that comes to mind is wellness. They all present a form of wellness. The opposite of wellness it could be sickness or injury, right?
Mhm.
And a lot of the women that I follow have come through injury to seek wellness, that speaks to other people seeking wellness. That makes sense.
Wonderful. Is that like
Mhm.
mental going through the kinds of healing that happens through
Mental,
relationship dysfunction, yes, I see that also.
mental, physical, financial, relational, corporate, non-corporate,
Hmm.
small business, big business. I see wellness, and in those stories, as they have their own variety of how they speak to their audience, you can tell the undertone of that is follow me, come with me. This isn't a here's my story and I'm closing the door and locking it behind me. This is a here's this door, come on through when you're ready, because I am on the other side receiving and ready for you for those next steps. It feels wholesome in that way. Mhm. Yeah.
Beautiful. Oh,
Yes.
beautiful. That is a way of, that's an invitation. We as men tend to look at things as an initiation, as if
Mhm.
you're put through a fire, you're pushed through into a fire. And what I hear you say from your perspective is that it's an invitation, that you're being invited to be able, and that's a very different way of looking at things, a very different way of having that as a perspective.
Would you be able to answer the same question, right? Women in your life that you know or that you
Mhm.
follow, what's maybe a common theme that you recognize?
Well, there's a common theme of being outrageously authentic.
Ooh.
So really being out there and authentic, and being who they are, and also being very I mean, Michelle Obama is the perfect example of that for me. Nancy Pelosi is a beautiful example of that. I was watching her. There's this wonderful, her daughter did a whole bunch of video both during January 6th and later on that she has. And there's this one picture, it was afterward, but Nancy was about to go give this huge speech. She was doing that, and she was standing there braiding her granddaughter's hair.
Oh.
And she was completely focused
Yes.
on doing that. You could
Mhm.
see in her eyes, and she's about to go out and give this huge piece that really to be able to do. I don't remember the exact of it, but it was something really important. And yet there she was braiding,
Yes.
and it touched me so much
Mhm.
because that was to me the nurturing mother leader
Mhm.
piece that there
Mhm.
was. So it was just, and it was also an amazing, a beautiful part about what I saw her is that when she gave the leadership and the leadership of the party, and she
Mhm.
was able to offer it and to be able to step back to be a trusted advisor and those are gracious ways. So she and Gloria Steinem and Bella Abzug and and Zora Neale Hurston from her writing and the work that she did. These are women that just absolutely light me, and they all
Mhm.
they're by no means saints. They are real human beings
Mhm.
who go through their lives, and it's just, I mean, it's extraordinary.
Mhm. That's the second time you use the word authenticity. One, to describe a woman that you find connection with. But then also earlier you said it, you use it as a means of something that you want to grow into. You want to be authentically yourself as well. And I
Exactly.
think that's just such a beautiful example of how much more we need each other than we need separation, man and woman. We'll use that box for right now.
Thank you.
In order for you to be authentically yourself, you're not going to necessarily find it right now as potent in the men population than you will in your relationships with women. To answer your question, going full circle, how do I do this? You show up authentically as Dennis in your friend groups, giving yourself the chance to have an uncomfortable conversation that's important to you, i.e. race, and allowing the group to see, wow, that man is authentically vulnerable. He's present as all get out. He's aware of his insecurities. He's aware of his guilt, and yet he's still showing up.
Thank you.
Isn't that?
Well, that is because the facades that I carry, the wanting to be, wanting to show up, or to manage your perceptions. That's I mean, the whole point of me being inauthentic is an attempt to manage your perceptions about me.
Yes.
Now, part of it is my kidding myself about whether or not I can, because in the first place, I don't think we can manage anyone's perceptions. We can try, but I don't think it really works. But as long as I'm putting energy into attempting to manage your expectation, I am taking all that energy away from being curious, being interested, being engaged, looking at where I am at that point. So I'm showing up as present, because
Right.
I'm not. I'm showing up. And that's authenticity is really the place, because I'm a believer, Simone, that in the human being, I look at the children. I look at children, I look at 3 and 4 and 5 years old, and I see this wonderful, sharing, curious, engaged, involved. And I go, how do we lose that? There is something about the way we are raising
Yes.
that we lose that. That's on us.
Challenge that. To lose something means that it can't be found. I think we are locking it away, tucking it away, because we feel like
Thank you.
have to adult, but it doesn't go anywhere, Dennis. It is very much
Thank you.
still alive.
It is still alive. You're not, we lose, I lose touch with it.
There, that's
I don't lose it at all. It's not lost. Thank you for the clarification, because it's not lost. It is merely put aside, and not, and that's what I'm looking for. I am looking to continue to regain that, to continue to be in touch with that, and to go, because that's my authentic self. That's the authentic self. I can use the tools. I don't have to behave as a 3-year-old. And not all the time anyway, but but I don't have to behave, but I can use the childlike innocence and curiosity and generosity. Have you ever seen a child share something? I mean, there's just this wonderful, this wonderful opportunity, or see them hug one another, or you just see this. I see that all the time, as I go around the store, and I'll see the kids, and you look into the kids' faces, and you go, yeah, everything's going to be all right. We're going to be fine. It's going to take a while. We're going to take a while to be able to do this, but I just, when I was growing up, there were so many, such very clear guidelines. What is a man? What is a woman? You must fit into these boxes. You must fit into this, fit in. And so I am working to whatever it is that I have been culturally indoctrinated. And I want to look at that and say, well, what is the difference between me and what the culture has told me I need to be?
Wow. Yes. I had a thought, but I think I'm going to save it.
Good. And then next time, what I'd like to do is that, would you bring some women into us? It's still going to be Women's History Month, and some women, as you have, and let's talk about them, and I'll do some of that too, because I would like to do that. I think that would be a good way for us to do that. And do you feel like we had more conversation this time? Did it feel more natural?
It did. It did.
It did for me too. It felt uncomfortable, because I'm more comfortable in that questioning place. So that discomfort merely means that it's new.
That's all it has to be.
Yeah. so that I can be more, I could be more in a place of conversation rather than in hijacking that.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
lovely. Thank you. Thank you, Simone Deloach. Thank you
Mhm.
so much for this time. And I want to thank everybody and anybody who got a chance to see our 6-box.
Till next time.
You bet. See you all. Bye.